Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another great podcast. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for being here. We have a returning guest today, and he's coming here for a second time. We're hoping to have him for his third, fourth, fifth, 10th, all that sort of good stuff. We'll have to give him a robe, I think, after number 5, or at least a coffee cup. Anyway, guys, you'll be looking forward to talking to him here in a few minutes. But in the meantime, go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, hit the bell notification button. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, see everything we're reading and reviewing over there. Go to all of our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those wonderful places. You can see us at there. Today, like I mentioned, he's a prolific author, speaker, a brilliant mind on the subject of what he talks about. And we'll be discussing his second book. We actually had him on the show for the first book, if you want to go back and see it last year. His new book that's coming out September 14th, 2021, Loving Your Place on the Spectrum, a Neurodiversity Blueprint by Jude Morrow. And Jude is joining us today, but let me give you some rundown on him. He is an autistic best-selling author, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and keynote speaker from Derry, North Ireland. Jude travels the world to showcase through his talks that autistic children can grow up to live happy and successful lives. His books are published by Beyond Words, publisher of The Secret. Jude is the founder of Neurodiversity Training International, the world's premier autistic-led training and consulting firm to global nonprofits and Fortune 500 companies. Jude is also a 2-time TEDx speaker and nurtures parents, teachers, and professionals to develop a kinder mindset towards autistic people, young and old. Welcome to the show, my good friend Jude. How are you?
I'm really well, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on. And the introduction was far too kind, far too kind. So thank you for that. Delighted to be back. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Whenever I had the chance to come back on, obviously I jumped at it.
Yeah, awesome. And when we saw the PR thing come across, they're like, hey, can we get this guy on your show? I'm like, yeah, you're getting him on our show. All right. We're friends with him. We know him. So welcome to the show. Congratulations on another great book that you put out. And it's going to be exciting. Give us your plugs so people can find you on the interwebs.
My plugs, well, my own personal website is judemorrow.com. And the MTI website, the Neurodiversity Training International website, is neurodiversity-training.net. And my new book, Loving Your Place in the Spectrum, I'm immensely proud of it. It's more of a collaborative effort, and it's available on all major online retailers, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get your online books, and so on and so forth.
Wherever fine books are sold, as they like to say. So what motivated you want to put out the second book?
It's actually very interesting because the first book, whenever it came out, was very successful. It was a very humbling experience. It was crazy. Like, from the last time I was on your show to now has been just a complete whirlwind, where I was speaking to groups, going to schools, meeting parents, signing books, and doing a lot of virtual stuff during lockdown. And as I became more at peace with the fact that I'm autistic and became more open about it, and more people started to know it about me, I started to meet, mingle, and mix with other autistic and neurodivergent people, and it was a very transformative experience for me, because I'd sort of found my tribe, so to speak, where the first book was getting my story out there, and then I was the little lost lamb in the wilderness looking for the tribe, so to speak, and I found it, and I found myself getting a lot of questions from people whenever I'd done talks and speeches and after dinner stuff, and I decided to collate them into a book, almost to be somewhat of a sequel to the first book, whilst being a collection of short stories based upon questions that professionals, parents, and even fellow autistic people have. And there's a few amazing contributors in the book as well, to kind of amplify the autistic voices as well. So it's like a miniature paper platform in its own right.
There you go. So give us an arcing overview of the book, what it entails.
Well, the book seeks to give the autistic perspective on a lot of things. Like, whenever you look through literature, it's the vast majority of global opinion and research. Now, I use the term research very loosely whenever it comes to autistic people, is based upon the outsider's view of it. So it's what people on the outside looking in at it think it is. So I thought, how about we give our experiences as a collective of autistic people, what the autistic experience is like, and even from the most basic of things that people take for granted. Like a couple of the topics that are discussed in the book are the likes of employment, because a really, really sad statistic is that only 16%, and this is globally, only 16% of autistic people are in paid employment. And that is a travesty, because the vast majority of autistic people are of either average or above average intelligence for the most part. And it just seeks to highlight the really challenging kind of plane of trying to get into the workplace, because whenever you go for a job, and it doesn't matter what job it is that really what you're doing is you're learning how to pass an interview and learn the buzzwords of a particular interviewer that they like to hear to give you the points to get the job. And it's very hard for us to do those types of things, where you have to have almost like a false kind of persona to get through the interview stage. And it's something that's a big challenge. It's something that I want to bring awareness of, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And even other things where there's a lot of things that I like to address in it. Like there's a lot of like, even whenever the first book came out, I'd read a lot of things. Jude Morrow, who has autism, but the vast majority of autistic people prefer that we are autistic people, and because a lot of people would say that people have autism, and the reason why autistic is preferred, because it's a key part of our identity. It's who we are. It's how we view the world. And I mean, my take on it is, you wouldn't say, a person has autism in the same way you wouldn't say a man with gay, or a person with trans. You wouldn't say that. And that, that is the gay community, gay people, and we are autistic people. Yeah. So it's somewhat similar. So it's looking to kind of address all these little things from the autistic side.
That's one of the things I loved about the book, is you're helping both sides. So you're helping us understand better that aren't autistic, but that teaches me something new. It's like saying, you or I have humanity, and you're like, what? We're human. We have human. We're human. We don't have human, although we have human nature, which is its own problem. But that's another joke. But I love this because you're helping bridge the communication gap, the understanding gap, and I have to somebody had to explain the autistic spectrum to me, and last night in Clubhouse we had a big discussion about the spectrum. There was a couple people that didn't understand the spectrum, and we had to explain what that is. Fortunately, we had some other really brilliant people that were in there that could explain it, and because people were, I thought this was over here and that was over there, and we're like, no, it's really quite the spectrum. But understanding these terms, how to address people, how to just communicate with people better and understand each other better is so important.
It is, for sure. And I love that you brought up like the autistic spectrum, because if you really pause and think about it, and I would challenge everybody listening to this to really think about this point, is that the vast majority of knowledge about autism, the autistic people, and even the autistic spectrum is informed strictly by medical research and guidelines. It's formed mostly by marketing companies who are selling these interventions. The idea that there's an autism level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, where it's technically a marketing masterstroke, where the likes of intellectual disabilities, which are perfectly fine to have because everybody has strengths, talents, wishes, wants, and feelings. But the fact that intellectual disabilities has been called severe autism is slightly misleading, because really you can be severely autistic in the same way that one can be severely left-handed. It's just there. It just exists. I just noticed that somebody has said thank you. So I don't know who it is, but I want to say to them that you're welcome.
There you go. There you go. I mean, we're all impacted by it. We all have friends that have autism, or children that have autism. I have a lot of friends that have autism, and I see their conversations on Facebook, how they struggle at work, how they struggle at communication, and many of them. I think most of the savants are on the spectrum, aren't they? Anybody who's ever been a savant is usually on the spectrum. I mean, I've seen some people that were on the spectrum that you tell them a city or a zip code, and they'll tell you. I think what it is, you tell them a city, and they'll tell you the zip code. They have all the zip codes memorized. My friend's young boy, he has a talent where when he wants to focus, he has a hyper focus. Like, I don't, because I'm like, oh, what's the latest thing on Instagram, the notification. He has a hyper focus, and like you say, they're different personality traits that all of us have that we excel at, and they can be utilized as a great way to use. We just have to figure a way to tap into those resources and help everybody.
Exactly. But whenever it comes to autistic people, there's a big injustice that exists in the world. If you're autistic, you're obsessed with something, and it's quite challenging even for me. Whenever the symptoms in inverted commas are referred to as obsession or interest with menial things. Expertise has many different things, many different points to it. But if you're autistic, you're obsessed with something. But if you're not autistic, you're an expert, which is a bit baffling to me. I haven't been able to get my head around that one at all. And it's the fact that the thing is that some of the most gifted and talented people ever to have existed have been autistic, like our team, Einstein, Marie Curie, recently in the media, Wentworth Miller. As recently said it, Elon Musk, Dan Aykroyd, but yet we're the ones with a disorder. I mean, it just raises an eyebrow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You guys are the smart ones, actually, in the room. We're kind of the what is that thing about they always say about how there's stupid people, 50% are the average stupid person. It's a George Carlin bit, and he says, yeah, you have to realize that the average person, 50% of them are below average and stupid or something like those. But yeah, I've seen, I mean, people have, my mom tuned into this a lot as a teacher. She found that there were different people that had really good skills at certain things. Sometimes someone's really good at mind logic stuff. Sometimes people are really good at hands-on, blue collar work. They can take an engine and do stuff with that I can't. I look at it and my brain goes scrambly. And so everyone has different talents, and being able to accept everyone, inclusive, and understand each other better is so good. I know a lot of my autistic friends, that's usually what they're talking about, is the communication, trying to communicate in the different styles that we're using. And I've been in those situations with everybody where I'm like, sometimes it's with accents where I have trouble understanding the accent and going, okay, where do I go from here? But that need to want to help each other communicate and lift each other up. The rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, because everybody communicates differently, and unfortunately, if you're autistic, it just doesn't really seem to be as accepted or respected as anything else. As the notion out there is, because the majority of people have a power, they have a very scary power that they wield at every given opportunity, is that they get to decide. So whenever it comes to autistic people, it's between 1.5% and 2% of the global population. So the other 98% of people have a really, really dangerous power, in that they get to decide what's disordered in comparison to them. Because even in my TED talk, I talked about my real deep love for English mustard, and I do want to take this opportunity to put out an appeal, is that if anybody is in LA and happens to be at Philippe's sandwich place, to please send me a bottle of their mustard. Thank you very much.
Oh.
But such is my love for spicy mustard. But I mean, if people that don't like mustard, do they have a disordered palate?
They do, actually. They do. That is, I have that from the judges. They do, yes.
Well,
but just people that don't like mustard.
My time in the show is over. Goodbye.
No, I'm saying that people that don't like mustard.
Oh yeah, sorry. I
don't like mustard. Yeah, well, people that love mustard, like you or I, we're of the echelon.
I mean, it's a hating mustard disorder. It's a real thing, and even with my therapy that I've created, hating mustard disorder therapy, where people get a chocolate treat or time to enjoy an activity that they like if they take a spoonful of English mustard in their food. Like, we can laugh about that anecdotally now, but for autistic kids in the world, that happens because if we like to click our fingers or toe tap or keep notepads beside them incessantly and everything, that there's actually therapies out there that try to kind of dull our sparkle to make us fit in with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I like to do to try and communicate is to try and convey a serious point with a witty anecdote. Like, we can laugh that, the people that don't like mustard have a disordered palate. But the thing is that we have a perfectly good communication style, learning style. But yet, because that's so disordered, apparently we need 30 to 50 hours of therapy a week to try and resolve it, which is sad.
Yeah. What's the old saying that the level of what's normal or seen as sane is probably highly insane? There's just so many people who decided that's sane, so therefore it is. Have you ever gone to the Mustard Festival in like Napa? There's that's a hell of a thing to go to.
There's a mustard festival?
Yeah, dude. There's a mustard festival in Napa every year. You go up there, they have all the mustard. They have if you love mustard, oh my god, dude.
I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah, you need to leave Ireland. Just move. Just give up. Just don't even pack your house. Just leave.
Don't tempt me. There's a mustard festival. Well, there you go.
Yeah. There's a mustard festival, Napa Valley. Here, let me pull it up. Napa Festival. So I was agreeing with you earlier. I guess maybe I miscommunicated, but I was agreeing with you earlier because I love mustard. And if I meet somebody who hates mustard, I look at them harshly and then I block them on Facebook.
And so you should.
Yeah.
And so you should.
Let's see. Is it the Festival Napa Valley? Oh, hold on. I just typed in Napa Festival. You have to type in mustard. But they put on a huge festival there. You go up there. It's the season of the mustard, proceeds of the Napa Valley Mustard Festival. So it's mustardfestival.com. And you can see images if since you're in Ireland, you can use that as your mustard porn. You can see the pictures and stuff, but it's beautiful because the fields are all in bloom and stuff. But they throw you go up there and probably everything is mustard. But if you love mustard, that's you'll find your solace and your place in the world.
I'm going to put it on the list. It's definitely on my bucket list now to go to this Napa Valley Mustard Festival.
Yeah.
And it's funny that since I gave my TED talk, I've got a lot of mustard related gifts.
That's funny as heck. That's funny as heck. But yeah. I judge harshly anybody who doesn't like mustard. I especially if it's like really spicy or it's got the seeds in it and stuff. People are like, I like the little. I mean, there's a place for the cheap mustard, but you've got to get the really good stuff, right?
Yeah, you do. You have to get the proper fiery mustard. And it's nice now that because we like mustard. See this like mustard bonding that we've just done is that whenever I started speaking to more autistic people, it was like this mustard bonding equivalent. It was like this is like a snapshot into what having your tribe is like.
Uh-huh.
And it's nice to have a sense of belonging for sure.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I wanted to make very, very clear in the book is that whenever people are like you, and it can be a lonely experience, the whole being autistic thing. It really can. It can be a very lonely experience because whenever you grow up feeling inside yourself that you're so completely socially unacceptable, and you have to do what they're doing over there so that you can fit in with them. It takes a long time to get over that, and I would only say that I've only properly gotten over that point probably within the last 18 months, probably, and whenever I started getting acquainted with more people. So, I mean, what I wanted to do in this book as well was to even show parents that yes, we can grow up and be happy and successful, and whilst we might like different things like spicy mustard, ballet, poetry, or steam engines, or no matter what it may be, or sports, that we still have preferences and communication styles that should be respected rather than kind of suppressed at any given opportunity.
Mm-hmm. It's really important. I mean, we need to have everybody in the pool, and of course, us mustard people, we got to stick together against them ketchup only people. People. Yeah, they're not right. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Tease us out some other aspects of the book to encourage readers to buy it.
It's one thing I really wanted to bring to light is that there's a lot of discussion in there about relationships in general, because a couple of contributors, because believe it or not, like autistic people and people listening may have autistic kids, and believe it or not, they will grow up. Biology says that they will grow up when they reach 18. They will be a grown adult, and some may get married and have kids and so on. And there's there's a couple of chapters in it that deal with relationships, because I mean it's relationships where both people in them are autistic are going to be a little bit rare. I mean, with my wonderful other half, Penny, is not autistic, and there's there's a couple of good tips and pointers in there about autistic communication styles, and the need for space, and to have time for our hobbies, and I'm just pretty much like every other human being in the world. So it deals with a lot of topics, and I didn't want the book to be just kind of my voice, where my opinion, where this is just what I'm saying on behalf of the entire autistic and neurodivergent community around the world. That's why I got more people. But what one story particularly I can't wait for everybody to read is that of Adrian Newcastle. And Adrian Newcastle and I met whenever I brought out the first book. He recorded the audiobook. And after recording the audiobook for Why Does Daddy Always Look So Sad, he had a conversation with his lovely wife, who thought, wow, the guy in this book sounds an awful lot like you, Adrian. And subsequently went down the diagnosis route and recognized that he was autistic himself. So it was a real great. It was like fate. It was just meant to happen. Like he was meant to narrate my book, and have an answer to why he was different as well. And it was just a beautiful thing. We've become reasonably close in the last couple of years. We talk very frequently, and it was lovely for him to not use his voice but put pen to paper. But we've other great contributors in there too.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, and I love how you bridge the gap between both parties. You make more people feel accepted. I've had times in my life where I've needed a tribe for people who understand me, and usually it's a bunch of madmen in a rubber room for me, because that's we've all seen that. But no, I've sometimes you need to try it. Like when my dog passed away, I never had a dog pass away or anyone around me in 27 years. I really needed a human tribe to come in and help me process the grief and what I was dealing with from a feeling level, because I didn't have any sort of calluses to it. And talking about my pain helped other people and brought people in, and suddenly, I was using my story to help other people. And this is what's great about what you're doing. You've helped a lot of people that feel marginalized, that feel outside of the like you say, a broader community that's probably crazy as heck, because I'm in it, I know. We're nuts. But they feel alienated, they feel marginalized, and so you're helping bring their message through, and you're also helping bridge that gap where we can all talk to each other and understand each other more, and not see a group of people as victims or as a disorder, like you say, where it's like, no, these folks actually have really great talents and specificities, and we need to figure out how to incorporate them and make them feel completely welcome in everyone's environment. This is all of ours.
And on that point, actually, I wanted to mention for the likes of parents, because I mean, whenever people would say, and this is in general, and it's quite sad. Like if someone says, "Oh, my child's autistic," the default reply in the world is, "Oh dear, I'm very sorry to hear that. Oh wow, oh dear, that's awful." And I want to change that narrative. I want to change that narrative to one that has more positivity incorporated within it, where I mean, is that approach naive? You know what? Probably shoot me then. The approach is naive, but if it means that some extra kids get to grow up feeling proud and happy and confident in who they are and their abilities, then it's all worthwhile.
Definitely, and I applaud you as being a leader in this, and really building a community and sharing it and get everybody involved, because it's people are brilliant in every different right. I mean, if you've seen the stuff I do, I mean, I think pretty much the internet has decided I'm a complete moron. And they're right. But there's a lot of people that are smarter than me, and they should be championed, and they should, do stuff. So a part of the book is a guide for living a happy and successful life, autistic life. So this would be a good book to give to an autistic friend or child or something along those lines to help them just regal in their glory and see themselves as a proponent of what they specialize in, what they're really great at, and how to be better. Is that a good analogy?
It is. It's a perfect analogy, because even in every social media app, or whether it's Instagram or Facebook and everything else, there's a lot of autism themed pity parties, which is quite sad. Where there's and parents, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of parents that are very well meaning, that want to do their best and want to learn from autistic people, and I salute, and I'd love to applaud, but I can't, because I have to hold my microphone because I have to stand. But there's a lot of social media sadness going around, like if someone has a bad day and everything, sharing it up. Not that I'm against sharing feelings, but the vast majority of the social and cyberspace on the internet is taken up by negativity, and I just want to do my bit, at least for some people, to not resort to the kind of sadness or negative space, because I mean, if you go to a pity party, well, it doesn't matter what kind of party it is. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I tend to stay longer than I should, and maybe other people do the same. So it's something that I'd like to get rid of, because I mean, people now, even young parents, where there's a lot of like pictures and videos shared up on social media, and again, kind of going back on my previous point, that these kids, as biology dictates, will grow up and may discover in years to come. So hello, mom and dad. So I see that in 2021 you put up a lot of pictures of me crying in shops. It's but it's true though. It is true, and how embarrassing that would be, is that I don't think people have the foresight to realize that whilst it could be reaching out for support for the short term, that it could have effect on the child, who then grows up and gets a beard with grey hairs in it. It might cause harm later on down the line.
Yeah. I mean, I thank God my parents can post any of my pictures. I've seen the pictures that they have here, and I think there's one picture where I'm wearing the toilet bowl, the potty training thing on my head. Fortunately, it was empty, but yeah, I mean, just I shudder sometimes when I see it.
Always a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, that's my mom ever wants to blackmail me. She's got the pictures. The one thing that's great about the book too is it provides a handbook to help autistic individuals navigate major life changes, childhood to college, jobs and relationships, and each chapter identifies common issues faced by autistic people of different age groups and social groups. Talk to us a little bit about that and how that helps people.
What I really wanted to cover is I wanted to give like the autistic perspective, because whenever I don't know if came out is the right term, but as autistic, but I'll use it anyway. So like I started to read other books, so what literature exists out there for autistic people about, for example, going through third level education, right? So I was getting these books, and again, they weren't written by autistic people. They were written by professionals, or very well meaning parents that can only really define one experience. Now on my side, I can only define one experience as well, which is my own. But it's one of those things, being autistic, is that no matter how much people try and say, I understand what you're going through, I don't really believe it, in the same way that you can't empathize with someone who's blind simply because you can close your eyes. It's that. So I wanted to give the experience from the inside out, and the way I've written it is that I've written it in a way that isn't kind of edited for a majority of like neurotypical audiences. where autistic people would be able to read that and think, I can relate to that. I do that. Where there isn't a one size fits all solution whenever it comes to any of life's major issues. But whenever you get advice from someone you can relate to, it makes it all the more powerful. Like in my social work days, I saw everything. You name it. I mean, working with the elderly and frail population, you get to see everything, and no intervention or treatment in the world is as effective as peer-to-peer support. I think it's the most powerful thing. It's how, for example, Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous has really taken off, because you get a sponsor, someone who's been on the journey and can guide you through yours. Not that I'm looking to establish like an autistic kind of AA type of thing, but you always get more kind of results and value from listening to someone who can relate to you. And that's exactly what I wanted to write for. I wanted to write for people who would be able to relate to it. And I mean, I've been through a lot of things now. I'm growing old now. I'm 31 next week. I'm getting,
you're really over the hill, man.
I'm getting really over the hill, because a point that the book mentions at 31, me now next week, is that the life expectancy for autistic people on average is only 36 to 54.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's coming to the stage now as a 31-year-old where sadly people like me go.
Now, what is there a reason behind that?
There is, and there's a very clear reason, and the fact is that we're not really accepted for who we are, because growing up through the mainstream system where being autistic is viewed as a disorder. I mean, you're constantly having to adapt to a world that's not really made for you. And then when you grow up, it leads to anxiety, it leads to stress, it leads to high blood pressure, strokes, more susceptible to substance misuse, and worse things.
Wow, that's unfortunate. I mean, that needs to change for sure. So hopefully your book can take us down that road. Anything else we want to touch on about the book and tease out to readers?
Anything I want to touch on with this book? Other than the fact that I'm extremely proud of it, and other than pre-ordering it, buying it, reading it, enjoying it, leaving reviews everywhere you can, tell other people about it. Get people to read it and enjoy it, because that's what I want with this book. I want my goal for this book is to be a text that people can look at to really learn about the autistic experience, because the way it is, and there's a call to action in it for autistic people around the world to use their voices as well, because I mean, for long enough we didn't use our voices, and it led to other people using theirs for us on our behalf to gain a lot of outcomes that we didn't really need or want.
Yeah, this is really important. Share the message, share the love, educate people and everything else, and all the good stuff. Anything more we want to touch on before I go out, and give us your plugs?
My final plugs. The book is out in the US on the 14th of September 2021, and in the UK, Ireland, and Europe, it's the 25th of October. It's available at all online book retailers, so get a look at it, and please stay in touch with me. I love to chat, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as both Jude Morrow and Neurodiversity Training International, and I love to chat a bit too much sometimes, but my door is always open.
You and I are two peas of the pod in that sense, where we love to talk. So also check out Jude's first book, Why Does Daddy Always Look So Sad? I thought it was a touching book, beautiful book, kind of a, I don't know if a memoir is the right word, but basically a thing for your son that you're trying to communicate. I always tell people the story, and it's really touching. And most I don't know if this most is the right word, but a lot of people have autistic kids, and they're non-autistic parents, but you have something very opposite, where you're an autistic father and you love your son, and he's not autistic, and you're trying to communicate the two, and there's a beauty there between a father and son that I think is really unique.
Yeah, that's I love that because for most literature, it is about parents writing about their autistic kids, and for me, I'm an autistic dad to a non-autistic son who I actually had to bribe to so that he wouldn't enter the room in the middle of this interview. So it's been great, and he's getting old now. Ethan's 8 now. Whenever people ask how Ethan is, because Ethan gets more fan mail than me, he always has done. Ethan's a media Hollywood sweetheart. It's funny with Ethan because whenever I did live events, do you ever see in shows that the Queen has someone in white gloves with her to say to the people who's meeting her, "This is the Queen."
Mm-hmm.
Ethan does that for me, and he's 8, where he's like, "This is my daddy. This is Jude Morrow," and I'm like, "Hello," because I mean, for me, this is all rehearsed. Like this interview, I've already done 4 times today.
Wow.
So, I mean, whenever I'm like in a conference, like a live venue, I'm like, hello. I don't really know what to do.
I don't know if you can see the comment. It's up on the screen, but it threw me for a second, and then I realized the last name.
That would be my mother.
That would be your mom. She's left 2 messages. I'll put the other one up. And at first I thought, whoa, someone said hello. That doesn't sound like a question. And then this came up, and I was like, did we talk about moms on the show? And then it finally came together. Hello, thanks, Mom. Thanks for joining in and commenting, and thanks for sending us your fine son.
Thank you so much. I mean, my hero guide, shining light, and we do have another visitor who broke the promise. Ethan, you may show yourself now. I know you're here. You're behind the chair. Tight, but he's here. There he is.
Hello, Ethan. How are you?
There he is. This is the guy that couldn't keep to the deal.
Oh, he's getting a SAG card now.
Yes, that was good for the live, Ethan. You've done your bit. You've done your bit. Give me a minute. I'll be in the sec.
All right, that's awesome. We just got a whole family reunion here. I mean, I feel like I should just keep the show going. So more
my fan club without them over.
Yeah, I just this is awesome. So this is great, and it's wonderful. So thank you for coming on the show, Jude. We're good friends. We talk in the back channel, and it's been just an honor to know you for so many years. You got a giant heart and a giant brain, and so people like you enlighten me and make me smarter. So I certainly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. And Ethan, please, Ethan.
He's going to end up on CNN where it's the
loves the camera. That is
there
Ethan.
You go.
There you go. Hollywood sweetheart. He's better at this than I am.
Get him a YouTube channel or Twitch channel there.
No. He's going to take that now.
I already have a YouTube channel.
See, here we go.
That I don't use.
This is live, Ethan. Come on.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's doing fine. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on the show, Jude, and his son and his mom, as they like to say. Check out the book. It's September 14th, wherever fine books are sold. Loving Your Place on the Spectrum, a Neurodiversity Blueprint. And order the books up wherever it's sold. Give it away to your friends, neighbors, relatives. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.